Aloha! Welcome to Kensho Quest. In this video, I'm going to show you how we are homeschooling first grade with our 6-year-old son and our 2-year-old daughter.
1, 2, 3,
Aloha!
Welcome to Kensho Quest.
We're a world schooling family back home in Hawaii. Previously, our family was world schooling kindergarten while we were traveling the world full-time. We've shared videos showing how we were world schooling in Malaysia and Vietnam. However, due to COVID, we ended up returning to the USA. We're back on our home island of Oahu, but right now we're under quarantine and then stay-at-home orders, so we're not getting to experience much of the beautiful outdoors here. We've really just been staying home, focusing on indoor school time. We don't follow any one particular style of homeschooling. Instead, I've drawn from a lot of different things, so maybe we'd be considered eclectic. But I didn't choose just one single curriculum or one particular program to use. Instead, for each subject we're covering, I chose individually how to approach that. I'm saying that this video is what we're doing for first grade, and that's based on my son's age, that he's 6, going to be 7 soon. So based on the public school system, last year would have been kindergarten and this year would be first grade. However, the schoolwork that he's doing is ranging from about 1st, 2nd, or 3rd grade level, depending on the subject. At the end of this video, I'll share with you some of the challenges I face trying to homeschool with a 6-year-old while I also have a 2-year-old to be watching at the same time. I'm going to go through this in order of our daily routine. So for us, we usually start school after breakfast and we try to get started around 9:30 so that we can be done with our sit-down schooling by lunchtime. The first thing we do is the calendar. We got our son a space calendar since he loves learning about space and the planets. So first of all, he finds the date in here, and then we recently added in a journal, so that gives him some place to practice writing the date. So in his journal, he'll start out by writing the date at the top, and then I got some planner stickers that are based on the different months, so he can choose a sticker to put there. The kids really want more stickers though, so I've been looking around trying to find somewhere more affordable than Amazon to buy a whole bunch of stickers. If you have any suggestions of some good like month by month or season by season sticker collections, let me know in the comments. And then I have him write out one sentence. He can choose whatever sentence he wants, but it's just so he can practice the structure of writing a sentence. So that's just the first thing we do to get our school day started. And often he also asks, is it okay if he counts to see how many more days until his birthday, which is still about 80 some days until his birthday. So I'll let him do that, or right now he's been counting like how long until he gets to the October Halloween stickers. So that's some good counting practice for him as well. Our main, what I call core subjects, are reading and writing and math. So those are the non-negotiable ones. No matter what he's interested in, wants to do, or doesn't want to do, I'm deciding that we will do reading, writing, and math on a regular basis. Later, some of the subjects we'll touch on, I'll explain how we let him choose what he's interested in learning about. So for reading and writing, we're using a program called ABC Journey. It's a book and an online class, and it's based upon Noah Webster's approach to teaching reading and writing. So Webster, as in the Webster's dictionary, I figured the guy who wrote the dictionary knows something about teaching spelling. And then that's been adapted, his approach, to a more modern context by a homeschooling dad who wrote ABC Journey. So we followed this program starting last year when we were doing kindergarten, and we're liking it and progressing through it, so we're continuing with first grade. Since this was an approach that was done in the early 1900s, at that time, people were taught cursive handwriting first. And also from what I had learned about Montessori, that approach also does cursive before printing. So I was all on board to let him learn cursive handwriting first. At some point, once he's mastered it and feels really confident about it, we'll move on to printing, and supposedly if they've done cursive first, the transition to printing is much easier than if they had done printing and then tried to transition to cursive. At first, ABC journey was very much about phonics, learning the phonograms, and now we're moving on to where we also need to be learning the syllables and how they fit together to spell words. So we're at the point in the program, the bulk of it, where we're working on spelling lists. And there are a lot of these. I went through and counted and realized there are pretty much years worth of spelling lists. However, they're not the same as the spelling lists that I did in elementary school. I remember that we had one spelling list for the whole week. We were supposed to memorize it. At the end of the week, we took a spelling test. But for this, we're not memorizing and then expecting him to know how to spell the spelling list later. We're just going through the spelling list day by day, and then also having him read the words that he previously spelled to learn spelling patterns. 21, the first rule is that UR makes the sound, like the word her. So UR makes Can you say that?
UR makes
OR makes OR, like the word for. OR, or.
OR, O.
Or. Okay, so let's break this in half for today. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in each column today. Okay, so your first spelling word today is T-O-R-N. T-O-R-N. Okay, please read it first.
Torah.
Okay, remember the rule. O-R makes or. Okay, put your finger under it so we can see what you're sounding out. Torn, like the paper was torn. So please go ahead and write torn, T-O-R-N. Hold your paper with the other hand. Torn. Through these spelling lists, he's learning additional phonics rules, the pronunciation of syllables, and where to put the stress on those syllables. So also with these spelling lists, we don't focus on memorizing the meaning of the words. He can get the benefit out of these just by learning the spelling patterns without even knowing what particular words mean. So as his vocabulary naturally grows from us reading to him, speaking to him, his interactions with the world, then he'll be able to click like, oh, that word I know, that's that word I'm spelling. But in order to benefit from the spelling list, it's really just based on, can you pronounce the letters, the syllables that are written on the page? So he's very much learning to sound out the words. Okay. One of today's rules is that UR makes the sound So we have earn. Yeah, that's correct. He's learning to encode words by learning to spell them, decode the words by learning to read them. So also there isn't separate like graded reader books. We're not having him open a book and attempt to read it himself. Right now what he does is he first, one day, writes half of a spelling list words. The next day, writes the other half spelling list words. Then we'll go back and have him again read the words that he previously wrote. What's the rule? 8, yes.
Date. Gate. Tate.
That's actually at the beginning.
Fate.
So all the reading and writing right now is based around these spelling lists. And only once he gets proficient enough at understanding how to spell different syllables, fit them together into words, how to sound out the words based on phonics and syllables. And once he's really comfortable with it, then the end goal of this program is that he could open up any level book. You know, traditionally it was the Bible was the first book that people were reading at home. Now it would just be any book of his choosing, even if it's geared for an adult, and he should be able to read the words on the page.
It's not be the no, it's the no.
Before the school year started, I asked Kaisho what topics he wanted to learn about. I really do like the concept of unschooling, where you can follow their interests. So once we get past our core subjects, I do try to tailor his homeschooling to what he's interested in learning about. So he said he wanted to learn about rocks, dinosaurs, how dinosaurs turned into birds, planets and space. All the topics he mentioned fall under the science umbrella. So for science, what I did is I went and I bought a selection of books based on his interests, and we're also doing some online classes for science as well. As the school year progresses, I'd like to add in more hands-on, experiment-based, but I'm still just trying to figure out what's the best approach for us with that. So right now we do a little reading time for science. We have Amazing Evolution, which he's been enjoying a lot. That makes me happy. For my bachelor's degree, I studied biology with an emphasis in ecology and evolution. So I like to see that he also enjoys learning about this. It's a really nice picture book with colorful pictures, so even my 2-year-old really enjoys flipping through this book. We also got my book of rocks and minerals. He's very interested in learning to identify different rocks. So to go along with this, we got the National Geographic Rock, Mineral, and Fossil Kit. So we only started reading this book and did one little activity with it where we made crayons to illustrate the rock cycle. But as we read this more, then he can hands-on learn to identify the rocks using this. If we were out in nature more, like where we were quarantined previously, he could just go out and find some rocks, but we're under stay-at-home order inside an apartment. There's not a whole lot of variety of the rocks found in our apartment complex. Then we also got him 13 Planets. We also just barely started reading this one, and it's a lot more updated than the books he previously had, so I like that he's learning more current information. He's been really interested in outer space and planets since he was about 2 years old, so this is a topic we've been reading about for a long time. Also, my husband got for him this solar system kit. So it starts out as an informational book, and then it also included the pieces to build this 3D model. So he's put this together of the solar system. Also for science, we do online classes. So right now we've been watching a master class on scientific thinking. I think that's been benefiting me more, maybe inspiring me, helping me think about what's important to be teaching to him. Since the master classes are more at an adult level, I'm not sure if he's getting as much out of this master class at 6 years old. We did previously do master classes on science exploration and conservation, and we might do a couple of other master classes, but we'll also try to integrate some other online courses that might be a bit more at his level. For example, Monterey Bay Aquarium has some free online classes. And then as the school year progresses, I do want to add in more hands-on experiment type things to our science. So if you have any suggestions of good resources for secular science curriculum, such as online classes or experiments, let us know in the comments below, because that's something I'm still kind of researching. After we've done our main sit-down subjects where we work side by side together, then he moves on to doing ST Math online. When we were traveling, I was really interested in an online math program because we couldn't have many books, workbooks in our suitcases. And I found ST Math, and I really do like the approach, and so we're still using it this year. Last year he did the kindergarten and first grade levels, so this year he's starting out at the second grade level. And the main basis behind ST Math is to teach math through spatial, temporal, visual methods instead of relying heavily on language, words, and word problems. So this was great that in the kindergarten and first grade, levels, there was barely any reading or words on the screen, so he could just sit there and figure out the math problems on his own, learn the concepts on his own. The first grade, they had a few words thrown in there, rectangle, square, triangle, that it would help him out with a little bit. And now that he's on the second grade, there are some written quizzes in there that I help him with as well. But for the most part, he's able to do 20, 30 minutes of math on his own without needing my assistance. Also, the way the program is designed, if he does get stuck and he does need help, we're just supposed to encourage them to figure out a way to solve it themselves instead of saying, oh, the answer's 5. You know, it's like, well, what have you tried so far? Could you try something else? Do you understand what it's trying to get you to do? What happens if you click over there? Where have you tried clicking on the screen? So we just kind of guide them to figure it out on their own instead of too much giving them the answer. As we go on, I think I might add a bit of handwritten math problems. Like I'll just write them out for him so he can get a bit more practice writing numbers, because since he is doing math online, he's just using the computer, he's not practicing writing numbers as much as he is writing letters. Also, sometimes I need to have a conversation with him to explain in words how we describe these things. This is an equation, this is an equal sign, because he can do the math and do the problem without necessarily knowing the language or the way we would normally talk about those math concepts. After we've completed our sit-down schooling for the day, I get out my computer and I just use a Google Docs spreadsheet to keep track of what we've done that day. Which spelling list, how long he did math, how long he watched an online class, mostly for my own records, but also here in Hawaii, at the end of each school year, we'll be responsible for giving an annual report of his progress for the school year. So I'm sure I wouldn't just remember off the top of my head what we did, so I like to keep a record of what we've done for our sit-down schooling. Besides this, other things we like to do is daily, we try to make sure we get some exercise in. So we go for 1 or 2 walks a day, and the kids like to take turns riding the scooter. Right now we are under a stay-at-home order here on Oahu, so we are limited what we can do getting outside right now. We really appreciate having a bike path outside our apartment complex, so we take advantage of that. Hopefully things will get a bit better soon with the COVID-19 pandemic, and we'll be able to go swimming at the beaches or go on family hikes, really enjoy the beauty of this island and have more good quality outdoor exercise family time. Also, as part of our homeschooling, we like our kids to get experience cooking and baking, especially when it comes to any treats that we know they'll want to eat. We prefer to make a homemade version instead of a store-bought version so we can use healthier ingredients. And Kaisho actually has his own YouTube channel, Kaisho's Kitchen, where he shares lots of gluten-free recipes.
We're making homemade gummies. We're using some lemonade with some collagen and maple syrup. Gummies and some pommy in our tummies.
Oh, you got lots of gummies there, honey.
Yeah, we're more of a gummy instead of a gummy. More gummy. I'm gonna eat this gummy. A delicious gummy.
Yummy, Haru? Oishi?
I also wanted to address what it's like homeschooling when you have children at different ages and stages. Again, our kids are 6 years old and 2 years old, so they're at very different stages of development. I have noticed great benefits in homeschooling where our younger child is learning a whole lot from being exposed to and around what her older brother is learning, but at the same time she does not have as long of an attention span, so it's constantly a struggle and a balance to be watching a toddler while still trying to work with my 6-year-old. Normally, my toddler and I are the first ones to get up in the morning, and she's quite happy to go into the office that we also use as her schoolroom, you know, look through her workbooks, maybe draw on them, do a little school time. Then later my son wakes up, we all eat breakfast, and we come back to do school time. By that point, my toddler only has a little bit of tolerance for it, We've gotten her a lot of her own materials because she's really excited and loves workbooks. She chose her set of workbooks herself. Even if they're meant for a bit older kids, that's okay. She just likes to flip through them, draw on them. She's not really doing what the workbooks say to do. I also got her a set of flashcards with wooden letters and numbers that go into them, and that will entertain her for a bit. So first, we're all doing homeschool together. Then she'll get tired, she'll get cranky, lose her attention. She might need to go to the bathroom and I might have to accompany her there. She might need a snack and I'll tell my son he gets a couple-minute break before we come back. Generally, we do breakfast, get through journal and spelling, then we do a snack break. Then we'll go on to reading science, he'll do his math. We might do our online class right away, or we might do that later in the day. It's like, it has to be flexible. I can't do things, this is exactly at 9:30 and this is exactly at 10 a.m. and this is at 11. It just won't work with the two kids. So we have to adapt it day by day, and he's aware that sometimes I have to take breaks to tend to my toddler. She also might get tired and bring her blankets and stuffed animals in and just kind of lie down by herself a bit. She might get in my son's way. It's like I try to involve her as much as possible so she's not sad and feeling left out, but at the same time, she just doesn't have the attention span for, it's about 2.5 hours of actual sit-down school that we do per day. I do feel like a lot more is expected to be learned in first grade than it was in kindergarten, but at the same time, I think the benefit and advantage of homeschooling is we don't have to learn the exact topics, the exact things that would be taught in a public school. Instead, we have more freedom to go with what he wants to learn about, what he's interested in, maybe approaches that we prefer as the parents, because the more I learn, the more I realize that maybe I don't like mainstream approaches and I would like to tailor it a bit more to our family. But every family is unique, every family is going to have different things that they value, and that's the great thing about having the option to homeschool, is you can really make it about your children and your family. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more about homeschooling, world schooling, traveling, please subscribe and turn on notifications. If you're also a homeschooling family, please let us know in the comments below what approaches you are taking with your children and what seems to be working well for you.